Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. So we are picking up on where I left off for my part one of story time, and I just want to say before we begin part two that I really appreciate everybody who has left comments under my videos or have reached out since then. And just to clarify, I'm not in that negative space anymore. I have grown a lot mentally, financially, and just in so many other different ways. So I'm not in that headspace no more, and God has given me beauty from my ashes that I've experienced. So let's get started on part two. So as I said, I felt like Zane really dropped the ball because I reached out to her, as you guys seen, and I wanted to gain a wider audience for what was happening to my daughter. And I was trying to see, okay, where can I travel to take her? Where can I, who has any insight of like what I should do, right? So as you guys see, I'm going to upload it. Well, I uploaded it right here. As you guys see, nobody believed me. There were people saying that I was lying about her being my daughter. People said that it was Photoshop. People were saying that, oh, well, you spent all your Christmas money. Now you looking for a handout. You taking sexy photos. So it can't be nothing too wrong with you. Or it was just like, somebody said that they didn't see me advocating for cancer on my page, and they just seen the baby boy on my page, which was my son, rightfully so. And my page was private, so I wasn't, you know, it was only certain things that you would be able to see on a private Facebook. And then they were thinking that my baby girl had belonged to a different woman, which was her grandma on her dad's side, because her grandma was on the internet doing the same thing that I was trying to do. And so people were saying, oh, this is not even your daughter. I seen another woman post her. Just all types of crazy stuff. And there were people in my Facebook inbox saying, well, prove to me that you're not lying and I'll donate. And then when I did prove to some people, because I'm like, I have no reason to lie. And at this point, I didn't even want their donation. There was this lady, I think her name was Kimberly. There was this lady, she said, I let her look at my Instagram, because my Instagram was private. And I approved to her, and she seen it, and she still couldn't say anything. She still couldn't say nothing. So she ended up, I ended up writing her, I said, okay, so you see what you need to see, and you see I'm not lying. So at this point, you're going to be blocked, because you just couldn't, you didn't believe me. And I also said that when there was this other lady who cut her daughter's hair off and had t-shirts made advocating cancer, and the whole time the lady was lying. The little girl never had cancer, but everybody believed her because of the color of her skin. So yeah, so I ended up blocking her after I gave her access to my page just so she could see. And she ended up commenting on Zane's page again saying, well, baby girl, and I'm going to call you baby girl because you're my son's age. I felt like there are a lot of scams going on in the world, and I just was unsure of what was going on here. So I do apologize, and I'll pray for your baby girl, something like that. And then in my inbox, there was someone who was like, I'm so sorry for accusing you, and I pray things get better. I just read it and didn't respond back, because I'm like, y'all are very sick and twisted to think that somebody would get on the internet and do something like that. And I know people are out there doing stuff like that, but I'm just not that person. It's never that deep. Like, it's never ever that deep, because you're going to be found out one way or another. You're going to be found out one way or another. And when all of these comments was happening, Zane didn't step in to really intervene at all. Like, she didn't say a word. And just to clarify a few things, because I know people are probably like, why did you go to Zane out of all people? Zane lets people on her page write her anonymously or publicly in her email asking to post their story so they can ask the public for advice. So that's what I did, because everybody else was doing it. And it's not like I just singled Zane out. That's not what happened. She opens her platform for people to write her about certain things. And when it was drama, or when it was mess, or when it was, oh, my husband's cheating on me, everybody's all ears. As soon as I sent her this, she really didn't have anything to say other than what she said that I posted. And everybody on the page was like, oh, you're lying, this and that, that's not your baby, blah, blah, blah. So I reached out to Zane via email after all of that. And I said, hey, could you please post this in, because I sent her proof of everything. And I even sent proof on the Facebook thread that everybody was accusing me on. I really felt like I had to send Zane the information privately to her, like certain things that I didn't want to post. And I said, hey, could you please blur out some of this and post it to show these people that I'm not lying, because y'all really are hurting my credibility of getting news coverage. Because at that point, the news didn't want to touch the story at all. And I'm like, does this have something to do with people thinking that I'm lying to Zane or something like that? And I wrote her a long message, and I'll even post that. I wrote her a long message. I said, hey, y'all are hurting my credibility. I have no reason to lie. And guess what, y'all? She never responded back. When I wanted to defend myself and prove that I was lying, and to get the recognition that I needed for this story, she never wrote me back. Like, she never wrote me back. And I know she read it. I know for sure she read it, because she was posting around the clock. She was in them emails like clockwork, like her rent was due or something. So I'm like, this is very odd that she wouldn't write me back when I'm trying to prove myself. And so I was getting friend request after friend request, trying to see like, what does this girl have going on her page? Because people, it was like the way those messages, the way those comments was coming in on that Facebook thread was absolutely ridiculous. And it was even people on there advocating for me, like, y'all don't get on here doing this, because when other people, and y'all know what people that I'm talking about, have is advocating for help with cancer, y'all don't even blink twice to think that it's real or fake. But this young black woman get on here and uploads a picture of something that looks surreal, even though it is absolutely 100% real. It looks crazy and it looks animated and it's actually real, and y'all are on here accusing her of being, of being a scammer, not knowing that this is something very easy to find out. And I even uploaded her nurse practitioner's messages. Well, me and her was messaging, and one lady said, well, if her nurse said that, then you need to go sue them, because she's never supposed to talk like that. And all I had to say was, you know what, lady, it sounds like you have some internal issues going on, whether it be jealousy or whatever it is, because for her to comment and say that I look like I was taking sexy pictures, what does my sexy pictures have to do with me trying to gain coverage for something? You understand what I'm saying? Like, it was just the math wasn't mathing. Like, what does this have to do with that? So about 2 months later, my daughter did pass away February 4th, which is coming up soon. So yeah, she passed away February 4th, and I literally only had 1 week off of work because I was working at a corporate place downtown, and I only had 1 week to grieve. 1 week to grieve. And when I went back to work, we hadn't even had her funeral yet. And I was just like, in a headspace to where, like, when it happened, it just felt so crazy. Like, when I would, like, a few days later, when I would get out the car and get my son out of the car, it felt like I was forgetting something. And I was like, okay, that's, like, it was a natural reflex to get 2 kids out the car. Now I'm only getting 1 kid out the car. So it was kind of hard for me to adjust. I think at that point, like, everybody knew, like, damn, like, this girl is back at work already. And my on-site manager was like, are you sure, like, you can come back to work? Like, you can take another, like, time off. But I felt like I still had my son to take care of. And although I'm grieving, I can't just throw my son to the wayside. And I don't want to be grieving and broke. I mean, I was still broke even when I went to work. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I was still grieving, but I didn't want to be, like, assed out all the way. Like, I still had a son to look after. I didn't have no other way of making money besides the custom orders that I would get every once a blue moon, because people, it was prom season, but people wasn't really coming to me like that. What's so crazy is when I got the first day that I returned back to work, it was my supervisor that called in from New York and was like, oh, well, we're happy to have you back at work, and are you ready to get to work? And I was just like, and in my mind then I knew that that job wasn't for me, but I still had to stick it out because it was, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? And I was so familiar with the job to where it's just like, let me just stick this out until I switch. Like, I'm not over grieving, but I can basically like come to a level, a grounded level, to where I'm like, I know what my next move is gonna be. Basically, I didn't want to make any decisions while I was in a grieving state because my mind was scattered like all over the place. It was to the point where I grinded nonstop to mask the pain, and I didn't even know. Some days I didn't even know if I was coming or going. Like, honestly, like, it was. I was making dresses, making dresses, and it was so crazy because it's like after that happened, it's like more people seen the story after she passed, and the more people that seen it, the more people found out that I made clothes, and the more people wanted clothes made and gowns made. So it's like when that happened, my sewing business picked up, and I was like, you know what, those making those prom gowns really helped me through that time. And because it was keeping my mind busy, it was keeping me occupied, it was keeping my hands busy, and I was still at work. Like, I would take those gowns to work with me and sew the appliques on by hand just to keep my mind busy. Because some days I would be at work not doing nothing, and I was just like, you know what, let me keep my mind busy, and I would just sew those appliques on while I was at work until they told me, it was like, hey, we understand, like, this is what you do, but we really don't want you doing this at work in front of the executives and VPs that are coming in, etc., etc. But a little bit after that, I felt myself like, it was like I was going till I crashed. And after that, I really felt like I was starting to unravel, like, mentally. Like, I was just spiraling. Even in my relationship, it was just spiraling to the point where it was like, I just really didn't have any. It's like I checked out emotionally of a lot of things, and I wasn't too, like, concerned with a lot of stuff, if that makes sense. And it's so crazy because when things started to get worse in my relationship, it was like I didn't care, but it was like I was starting to make an exit plan at the same time. Like, I had got me a car, and it was so crazy. I needed a car at that time, and it wasn't the best move, but it was a good thing that I got that car. And I'll tell y'all why, because it was so bad to where there was one time, like, that, and that was like probably the second to our last flight, he took all my clothes out of my closet and threw it outside down the stairs, and then put them all on top of my car. Like, literally put me and my son out, to the point where we had to sleep in my car that night. And that's why I'm saying I'm glad I made that move to get that car, because at this point, like, stuff had got bad, and my clothes was all over the car. It was some people outside, but it was nighttime. Like, it was in the middle of the night, and his mama was there, so he had threw all my clothes outside, like, just embarrassing. Like, some of the fabrics, my sewing machine, like, everything he threw outside on top of my car, because he was insecure that, because I was working at a corporate job, and he was insecure that I was doing something with one of the men at my corporate job, because he was doing stuff at the time. And, you know, people like to project what they're doing onto you when they're doing stuff they know they have no business doing. Fast forward a little bit after that, me and my son had actually started sleeping in my car. We literally started sleeping in my car until, and we started sleeping in my car, but then I put in my mind, like, I'm not in this relationship no more. Like, you put me and my child out, that's a whole different story. Eventually, we started sleeping back in the apartment, but I already had in my mind, like, you need to figure out a way to go. Like, it's time for you to go, get out this apartment, do what you need to do to get you and your son in a stable, healthy place, because at that point it was not a healthy environment at all. Fast forward a couple of, like, probably like 3 or 4 weeks, that we had our very last like argument, and at this point it had like it became like pushed me. He pushed me, and I was like, you know what, this is it, and I'm done. And at that moment I was like, yeah, I didn't care if I had anywhere to go. Me and my son left. We slept in the car for 2 days, and then we slept at my sister's house for 2 weeks, and then my mom ended up moving to a bigger house, so we ended up moving in with her. And that was September of, it was right after Hurricane Harvey. I remember it was right after Hurricane Harvey. It was September 2017. And it's so crazy because it just seemed like 2017, the first half was the worst year I've ever had in my life, because that's the year that my daughter died, February 4th, 2017. But then it's like the second half of 2017 was the most amazing year that I have ever had. And just like, that's so crazy how things work, how things can switch at an instant. Like, so sorry, let me not deviate from what I'm saying. So after we moved in with her, it was I didn't have nothing, but I was at peace. And that is the most luxurious thing that you can have, is your health and your peace. Nothing can top that. No bag, no car, nothing. Your health and your peace. That was my number one priority then. So I was still working downtown, and the thing about it is I was working through a staffing company, and I was only making $221 a week. Mind you, I had a $457 car note. So when I moved in with my mom, I didn't have a bed in my room. I was sleeping on the floor. And it's so crazy because I was like, even though I don't have much, I was still happy. Like, I was just still so grateful to be in a much healthier mind state. And I'll never forget it, because this is like, it was like a breath of fresh air just lifted off me. Like a weight just lifted off me, basically. And I was just, even though I didn't have a bed, I was like, hey, like, girl, you'll figure out something. So eventually I had started working more hours at the job, and there was this garage sale down the street, and they were selling a headboard, like a headboard and the frame thing for, I think it was like $90. So I, guess what I did? I took my $90 from my hours that I was working at my job downtown, and I was going to get me that headboard. And I made do with what I had. I went to Phallus Pirellis. If you're in Houston and you know how to bargain shop, you know what Phallus Pirellis is. So I went to Phallus Pirellis, and I got me some $20 sheets, and I got me this, my mama had like an old comforter that she had in there. So I got some $20 sheets and a old comforter that my mama had, and I set the room up for me and my son. The only thing that I took when I left my relationship was a TV. And I don't know why I decided to take that TV, but I still have that. It's so old now. It's so old. So anyway, so I bought that, and then I put the TV in the room, and me and my son, we grinded it out until we found better. So we stayed with my mama up until 2019, I think. And during that time, like, I was making taking little steps to like better my financial situation, better like my living situation, and really use that time to really just learn myself, love myself, and take the time to grow with my son. And during that time, like, I really realized a lot, that the things that I was accepting was, I was like, I think I was 23. I wasn't 23. 22. I think I was 22. I didn't have much in the room. I wonder if I have a picture of it. I'll show you guys. So I really didn't have nothing in there. My sister had a cat. My sister was living with my mom, and she had a cat. And it was just me, my son, and the cat up in there. His name was Cuddy. and we was just chilling. The TV was on the ground. The bed frame. It didn't look outdated. It was just very plain. Like, and I was like, I'm not gonna complain about this. Like, this is what God blessed me with more hours, and me and my son need a bed to sleep on. So we got that bed frame, and we ended up getting a bed. I think they had a bed there for sale too, and I just got it as a package deal for a cheaper price, something. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you never know what road somebody has walked to get to where they are, and you never know what this person has gone through and what this person has seen. Like, people that probably pass me up every day or look at me probably will never know that I went through something like that. Like, sleeping in my car, sleeping on the floor with my son, not having no bed. I was in such a depressive mind state at the time, because it's like damn, like all of this bad stuff kept happening to me back to back. I was surviving off $221 a month. My car note was $457. I still had my child to take care of. I still had to get to work. And at the time, even though I had a car, I was leaving my car at home for my mom, and I was catching a bus to work downtown. And it's so crazy, because when I was catching a bus to work downtown, it was this area, never forget it. It was this area that my bus route would take 161 on Woodcrest. And it would pass up all of the shopping strips. It would pass up the Galleria. It would pass up River Oaks. It would pass up 2727 Kirby, if you know what I'm talking about. It would pass up like shopping centers, like really, really, really upscale shopping centers, like with the 5-star restaurants and with the outlet stores. And it would pass up the Rolls Royce showroom. And I would just be sitting on the bus. Like, it was one day, like, I was just sitting on the bus with tears in my eyes, just looking. I'm just like, man, I wonder what it feels like to live over here. I really wonder what it feels like to live over here and just really just not have to struggle anymore. And I'm not saying those people who live over there don't have any problems. That's not what I'm saying. It's the richest man on earth has problems. Let's just start there. But I was just so tired of I was just so tired of being in the position that I was in, and I really wanted better for myself. Like, even when I was younger, like, I've always had the mind state to where I'm gonna make something of myself. I'm gonna make it big. I'm gonna live nice, and everybody has a visual of how they want to live, and living in a nice or luxurious place, it's very subjective. So it's different meanings for different people. But I always knew what I wanted from myself. I always knew what I wanted. It's tunnel vision with what I want, and I'm still that way, and I'm still gonna have it. But sorry to deviate. It was in that area. I would always look around, and it was during holiday time, and I was like, man, I really wonder what it's like to live over here. I really wonder what it's like to be able to bring your kids out to a shopping strip, bring your kids out to this restaurant, to this outlet, and just have no worry about what y'all gonna eat tonight, when y'all gonna get a bed, when you're gonna be in a healthy mind space or a healthy environment. Probably 1.5 years later, I ended up moving to one of those spots. I thought back to myself sitting on that bus, and I said, this is the place that you used to dream about living. This is literally the spot that you used to dream about living, and you are here now. You don't know what you speak into existence at the time. I'm saying this to say that God has a way of lining up people in your life. God has a way of lining up events, whether it be tragic, traumatic, or just whatever it may be. He has a way of lining up events in your life to y'all. I was just talking and my camera cut out. But I look back at it now, and it's just like, you never know what God has in store for you. Yes, you can manifest your life. I'm a firm believer of manifestation, and yes, that works, but you never know what God has in store for you. And I'm not saying I don't have any problems anymore. I'm not saying my life is all peachy and cream because I changed locations. But at the same time, I am in a much better headspace. I am in a much better, healthy relationship and environment. And I'm saying that to say, like, you never know how things can change for you, but you have to be willing to get up and do the work. Probably 2 weeks ago, like, I was down on myself. I wasn't picking up my YouTube camera, because y'all know, like, I've literally been missing off YouTube for probably like a month and a half since Christmas. But I was just like, if this is what you want to do, then you're gonna have to stay consistent. And yeah, everybody has a moment where they just get tired and want to give up, and they're just not feeling it anymore, or get burnt out. I understand that. But for me to be able to go from being homeless in the car with my son, sleeping on the floor with no bed in my mama house, and just really where I am to now, I'm so proud of myself, and I'm forever humbled humbled, because you never know how things can switch for you. And the places that I used to dream about going, seeing, and doing is what I'm doing now. And I'm not saying I don't have issues. I'm not saying that I still have a long ways to go. Yes, I do, of course. But I have come a long way simply because I got tired of being tired. And that's my next thing. It's like, you can preach to somebody for however long you want. You can suggest to them. You can say whatever. But if that person is not tired of being tired, then nothing will change. And nobody can want something for you if you don't want it for yourself. My whole point of making this video was to, like, really just show people and let myself be an example. Just because you've gone through certain stuff does not hinder you from doing what you actually want to do in life. My point of the video was not for me to act like I'm the only one who's been through a traumatic experience, because we all go through stuff. And granted, we still have a lot more growing and going through stuff to do, if that makes sense. So that's not the point of this video or the last one. I just want people to know that just because you start somewhere, that's not where you're going to end up. And just because you see someone look a certain type of way, you don't know what type of walk, and you don't know what type of journey that they've been on in life. You don't know what this person has gone through just because you see a pretty face behind a video or a camera. Please learn that very early on in life, that just because you see something does not mean that person hasn't gone through anything. And I will say, on the other hand, sometimes people are bitter or jealous or envious of other people's walks through life, but you don't know what this person has gone through. You don't know what this person has endured. You don't know what this person has seen. And for people to be judging other people based off what they have now, I'm sure other people would hate to walk in my shoes or to lose a child. So I'm saying that to say, let's try to give other people as much grace as we would want them to give us. Because you never know what God has in store for you, whether it be good or bad. You don't know what life has in store for you. Everybody has their ups and downs when it comes to, my back itching, sorry y'all. Everybody has their ups and downs when it comes to whatever it is in life, relationships, jobs, finances, all of that. But it's how you really just deal with it. And for me, my misery does not like company. And when I'm doing bad, I don't like to be around people. I don't like to try to call people and make my misery everyone else's misery. So during that time, like a lot of people will tell y'all, like I'm a secluded person anyway, but I was really just in my zone, and I was in my head a lot, like, girl, what are you about to do to better your life? Because I've always known when I was younger that I was going to be something and am going to be something. And it does not even stop here for me. I just knew me sleeping on the floor, that was, once I started sleeping on the floor, I was like, nah, my mom didn't give birth to me for me to be sleeping on the floor. No. And I refused to believe that was my destiny. That was not my destiny at all. And it wasn't my portion to be sleeping on the floor with my son. I took it upon myself and I said, hey, you're going to either be brokenhearted and broke, or you're going to be brokenhearted, work through it, and have some money in your pocket. So I got up every day, started getting more hours, and I was like, something has to give. And I started, honestly speaking, I really started feeling better in my head because I learned how to love myself. I learned how to really just learn myself and be by myself all over again. And during that time, I started like living, I started going different places. I had ended up meeting somebody, and she's the person who introduced me to the person that I'm with now. And me and her was like going out and, you know, just really like living life. So all of that stuff that I had gone through, I won't say it was forgotten about, but it was really just like I started feeling a lot better. Those outings and those different places that we went, I needed that to cope and get to my next level where I'm at now. Because during that time I was at a low moment. So I won't take away anything from anybody, her or the person that I was with. It was ups and downs, but that person, she really helped me learn myself and learn what I deserved, and just really like come to myself like, hey girl, like this is not what you're doing, that's not it. Like the sleeping on the floor, the fighting with this person, doing this, all this low level stuff that you don't have no business partaking in. And for that, I do thank that person for that. I really do. But moving on, I will end this video by saying that you never know where God is going to take you. You never know, or even, let me not say God, because some I don't know what y'all believe in, but you never know where life is going to take you. You don't know if one day you're going to wake up and hit the damn lottery, or you don't know one day you're going to wake up and lose your right leg. Like, you never know where life is going to take you. But it honestly, like, it depends on how you decide you want to fight through that. And sometimes we get to a point where we look at other people and we think, oh, why can't I have this? But they got it. You don't know what that person went through. You don't know what that person has had to endure to get that. And for me, I'm not even going to say, you don't know what that person had to do negatively. No, that person deserves that. You don't know what type of work that person has put in, or all of the bad relationships they had to get to their dream husband. Because it's people that look at me and say, oh, well, LEKA seemed like she got everything, so let's talk about all the bad stuff I had to endure. And what I'm telling y'all is not even the whole shebang. It was a lot of rambling and deviating, but I just had to like really tell things from my perspective and what has happened. But I really want people to use this video as an example of how they can, you know, change their perspective on things, on people. And even though you are in the low spot right now, you won't stay there. Especially if God knows you have great intentions, and God knows you are willing to put the work in. If He gives you that head start, you won't stay in that low point. Because I didn't. And like I say all the time, favor is not fair, but at the same time, we all do have free will to get up and do what we need to do. And scrolling all day on Instagram, in Shade Room, and the latest gossip blog is not going to get you to where you want to be. Let me not keep on preaching. But I just wanted to come on here and finish up part 2. And this is the final part of my story time, because we are leading into a lot of fashion based videos after this. My life has been it's been a journey. It's been a journey, but God has really given me beauty from my ashes, and I can't ever say that the things that I've gone through, I've had no vision at the end of the tunnel, because that wouldn't be true. But I will say I still don't know why that had to happen in that way, if that makes sense. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope everybody is having a great Monday. Peace out.